get right into it. So, we want to know more about you. Where did you grow up, and what's one of the first life lessons that you remember making?
Oh, that's a good question. So I was born in Richmond, Indiana. It's a very small city in the Midwest. And then I was raised in Virginia, Fredericksburg, Virginia. And I love being from Virginia. A lot of legends are from there. Um, but my first life lesson, that's a great question. I think being born in the Midwest, I think it really teaches you how to be kind to people because
Mm,
where I'm from, they are just so nice everywhere you go. Like in the grocery store, they'll smile at you, they'll say hello. Everybody speaks to each other. Compared to living somewhere like New York, where it's just like bumping people in the street
you're
and just
right.
like it's every man for himself. I think that the Midwest was more of a community. And then moving to the suburbs of Virginia, we were friends with all of our neighbors too. So that's one of the first life lessons I learned. And I'm definitely a people person as a Libra.
I love that. And be nice to people is just like, I think, just like a good life skill to carry everywhere you go because people always remember like who was nice to them. So that's a good one.
And it opens doors for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah.
And so then in 2017, you moved to New York and then you spent your first couple of years assisting fashion stylists. So, what was that overall experience like? Did you feel like you had finally made it? Were you disappointed? Just what were all the feelings, just that first move and just like getting started in the industry?
Well, I moved from Washington, D.C. So that's where I lived when I was like old enough to move out of the house. I lived in DC for like 4 years before I moved to New York. And this was around the time that Insecure came out.
Mm,
And I was like, oh my God, I could see myself having a show one day. But I need to make like a huge life change if I want to have an exciting life that's worth being turned into a TV show. So, yes, when I moved to New York, it was what I expected in terms of like drama, chaos, like just working hard for something that I believed in. Long hours on set, long hours prepping for styling jobs. And I did expect for the people in the fashion industry to be difficult to work with, but I didn't expect exactly how difficult it was going to
yeah.
be. I think that um, it took me by surprise that I wasn't welcomed with open arms as like a mentee. I thought that this person that I worked for, I really looked up to her. I admired
Hmm.
her. She's like a legend in the fashion industry as a Black woman.
Hmm.
And I thought that she was really going to take me under her wing and treat me like a little sis, but that definitely didn't happen. She's from the generation where they had to endure like the unimaginable. So
Right.
they feel like they have to treat their interns that way. So I really thought that I would be able to like get in there and make her love me, make her like me. But
Hmm.
that did not end up
That did
happening
not happen.
at all.
And so, this experience that you had in the fashion industry ultimately inspired you to create the web series, Thanks Candace Banks, where you're basically taking viewers through what it was like getting started in the industry with all the ups and downs. So now creating cool content for social is one thing, but then creating a web series like is just a whole other thing. Can you share exactly when you had that light bulb moment of I want to make a web series about my life?
Yeah. Um, so when I was going through all these experiences with these stylists that I work for, I would always like on the train ride home, just like journal and write down what happened. And I got into a car accident. That's in my season 2 finale of my web
Mm,
series. And while I had this downtime, while I was recovering, I went back through my journal and I was just reading everything. And I'm just like, you know what? This will be a great show, but how can I turn it into something for the internet um, that is, still tells a story, but it's like bite sized?
mhm,
So this was 2019, so I was like, oh, I could put it on YouTube in like 10-minute episodes. And then 2020 came and the pandemic hit, and then everybody was talking about this thing called TikTok. And I was
mhm,
like, what's TikTok? Sounds like it's like for teenagers, but I decided to look into it. And the max the max length for the videos you could upload was 3 minutes.
Mm,
So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could find a way to make 3 minute episodes and put it on TikTok? And so I made a TikTok. I started putting out random videos. Um, not my web series yet, but one of my videos went viral. And I was like, okay, it's now or never. So I made my first web series episode. And my boyfriend helped me film that. And I was so scared to put it out because I was like, okay, I'm talking about real people. This is a
mhm,
real story. I was so scared that the people that I was talking about would find me and tell me to take it down, even though I changed their names and changed
mhm.
a few details about the situation. I was so scared to put it out. And I especially didn't want to put it on my Instagram yet because my Instagram was so curated and it was just
Very
like
curated, the
me,
Instagram
like
aesthetic. Yeah.
yes, like posing. I had never put my voice on Instagram. So I was just, it really scared me. But there's a quote by someone, I can't remember who it is, but it says, the cave you fear holds the treasures you seek. So I
Mm,
just felt like, I'm so scared of this. I should just do it just to see
mhm.
what's on the other side. And as soon as I put that first episode out, people were like tapped in, like waiting to see what happens next. And I was like, wow, people really want to hear my story. Like, I really have something here. And then from there, I bought a new tripod. I taught myself how to edit in InShot. I got better at my voiceovers. And I would just like go in public with my tripod, filming these scenes where I'm like acting out all dramatic in the camera. People are staring at me. And it was so uncomfortable, but I was just like, the stares from these strangers are only temporary, but this content that I'm getting is going to last a lifetime.
Mhm. And you've
And I
mentioned
just
so many points that I want to break down. So the first was like first putting the first episode out and then just the reaction you got from it. So what were the general like comments? Like how were you expecting people to react compared to what you then received?
That's a great question. I expected people to say, this is the fashion industry. Why are you complaining?
Mm,
But surprisingly, I was so surprised that people didn't know that the fashion industry was this hard. They didn't know that internships are unpaid. They
yeah.
didn't know that they don't feed you during your shifts as an intern. They don't reimburse you for the Ubers you take to carry the garments back and forth to set. So I was really shocked that a lot of people didn't know how unglamorous
Mhm.
being an intern is. So that shocked me. And the number one comment was, who are you talking about? Like, who is this Miranda character? And people were taking guesses, and I will never confirm or deny.
And we're not going to ask you, but do you know if she knows about the show?
I wonder that all the time. Her friends have followed me, so I
Okay.
think that people might have sent my episodes to her. And I do wonder what she thinks about it.
Were
Yeah.
you ever so I know like you've when you were about to put the first episode out, you're worried about the backlash or like being blacklisted or anything like that. So now that you're 3 seasons in, have you seen any sort of negative um negative results from the like revealing all this about the fashion industry or about this person, Miranda?
The only thing is, there was a couple stylists I talked about, and one of the other stylists, her name in my web series was Imani.
Imani. Hmm.
Um, she reached out to me and she said she was in contact with her lawyer, and if I didn't take the episode down,
Girl.
she would take me to court. And I was like, okay, see you there. And I never took the episode down.
Right, because can you get sued for that if you didn't use a person's name or just any sort of indicate? Because you're acting it. It's not like you're getting an actor that even looks like the Imani in real life.
Yeah,
So what case does she have?
exactly. I was like, well, I'll take it to court then. I'll fight it.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say she called and was like, "Oh, like I didn't realize I treated you that way."
She did leave
No,
that comment too, and I was like, "No, girl, I have the journal entries from the day. Like
right,
immediately after I left you, I wrote it down word for word, so I'll never
right.
forget." And there's a scene I have with her in the car where she's like cussing me out
Hmm.
because I got the wrong size in a pair of pants. That's like word for word out of my journal of what happened
Okay,
that day. So
okay. Wow.
I was just going back and forth with her over text message, like, yes, you did say
Yeah,
all
you
that.
did say all that.
You did cuss me out. Like,
Right.
it was terrible working for you. And I really think that goes to show, like, people really don't think ahead when they're
Mhm.
dealing with interns. You never
Mhm.
know where somebody is going to end up.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you should treat someone better just because they might end up being successful. You should treat everybody the same with respect.
No. No, it
But
makes sense.
I think that they saw me as like this young girl who didn't have money. My clothes, my style was terrible. And they really didn't think that I would end up doing anything with this story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good lesson though. You really never know who you're talking to and where they could be the next day, what rooms they could be in, or just even just being a good person and not affecting someone's mental health negatively is like
Exactly.
it should be good enough.
Even physical health, the
Mhm.
stress that being an intern took on my body was like I ended up in the doctor for a couple things.
Oh my god.
Other assistants that I've talked to have the same story. Like
Yeah.
the stress is a lot. It's
Yeah.
serious.
Whew. Okay. Well, we have a listener question. This is from Shelby. So she asks, what is your content creation process? Are you batching the episodes? How detailed are your scripts when you're coming up with your dialogue? How early do you come up with like filming locations? And if you are working a 9 to 5, how do you even make time for creating episodes in your day to day?
Hi, Shelby. That's a great question. So my prep for my episodes is I write out the whole season in advance and I write out what each episode should cover.
Mm,
And then from there I used to use a lot of the TikTok filters. It's like they have a lot of cool things. That was a heavy in season 1 to capture people's attention, but season 2 I really stopped and I used more like quality camera shots.
mm,
Um so then from there, after I have the script, I figure out what locations to use. And I did have a 9 to 5. I worked for one of the top streaming companies in America, and we had a beautiful office.
mm.
And I say, use your resources. I was filming in the office on weekends because it stayed open 7 days a week. Um, so yeah, Saturday, Sunday, I would get up early, pack my stuff, and go film all my different characters at the office. And so I would also plan out which outfits each character
Mm.
needed. And I would also color coordinate all my characters' outfits. So
Wow. Okay.
like
So this is very detailed.
very detailed. And then after I filmed everything, sometimes I have like 2 hours worth of footage and I would have to cut everything down into the
Hmm.
3 minute episodes. Um, and then I would spend days editing and InShot.
Mm.
And then once everything is edited, I went back to the office. We have these little telephone booth rooms, and I would go in there and do my voiceovers
Oh,
with the
wow. It's a
hot
whole
tea.
production going on, one woman production.
One woman production. Yeah.
And was
Hot,
this just a regular camera? Were you using an iPhone? Were you using, you're just editing and InShot on your phone? Was everything on your phone when you started out?
I use the iPhone for everything. Apple sponsor me. Like, I use the iPhone to film, to edit, and InShot to do my voiceover with the mic that comes in the phone. I use it
That's
for everything.
amazing. That's
Hmm.
amazing. And that's like a good point also with just emphasizing like starting with what you have, like what you said,
Yeah.
like using your resources. Cause I feel like a lot of time you're waiting for perfection. Like you want to get started with something, you think you need to get the new fancy camera, like lighting, like big equipment. It's like, what do you have now that you can just use to get started? And then not only like working what you have, but even when you do get started, like how do you stop for yourself from not like going over too many spending too many days editing to the point that it's actually detrimental to actually just putting out the work? Like when is enough enough and not chasing like perfection? Like I've edited it, I filmed it, it's fine. There are things I could have changed, but I just need to put this out.
Well, I'm a huge perfectionist, so it's one of the hardest struggles for me. I could spend weeks editing something, and I've even went back and refilmed certain things
Mm,
because I didn't like the lighting or I didn't like my outfit. So I think getting over being a perfectionist is like the number one thing I had to teach myself. And this has also been a huge growing experience for me, like just teaching myself how to have an idea, see it clearly in my head, write it out, and then just like bring it to life by myself.
mhm.
It's like kind of spiritual to me to like be all alone in this huge office, just me and my tripod and my outfits, filming these episodes, bringing them to life, and then my season 2 finale, millions of views.
Mm.
Like it really changed the game for me. I get recognized almost everywhere I go now. So it's just like it's crazy to see Like, if you have an idea and it won't leave you alone, it's all you think about, you need to bring it to life, and then you never know where it can take you. So
Mm.
stuff
I
the
love that.
perfection, just put out the product and don't worry too much about being a perfectionist.
I love that. I love that. That's great advice. And then when you put out the first episode or even like the first season, did you have a game plan in mind? Like, okay, I'm just going to put out these first couple of episodes and see how it is. Like, did you know you'll be here now 3 seasons later? What was sort of your game plan then?
No, I didn't even plan season 1 in advance.
Mhm.
So I just put out the first couple episodes, and I would do the next episode based on the comments that I got. Like, people were asking me questions, and then I would put the answers in the next episode. And I kind of like doing it that way, but um things were out of order. How do I explain it? Like,
Right.
since I did it that way, I wasn't telling the story in order. So then
Hmm.
season 2, I wrote it out. I wrote the full season out, and it helped me to feel way more organized about it.
Hmm.
And then I framed the first episode of season 2 as like a flashback going back
Yeah.
in time, so I could re-explain everything that happened with Miranda and Emily. And then that storyline, the Miranda and Emily storyline, ended up being the entire season 2.
Hmm.
Whereas season 1, I just did like a huge overview of everything, like from
Yeah.
the time I got started, a brief episode with Miranda and Emily, all the way to the car accident was the
Hmm.
season 1 finale. So then season 3, um, so season 3 is a little different because since I had so much success season 2, I started getting reached out to by all these different companies who wanted to collaborate with
Hmm.
me in an episode. So my first 2 episodes was my first time getting paid to do an episode, but I also had to put a little ad in each episode.
Hmm.
And I think that, this is still all a learning experience for me. I think that my audience did not love the ad.
Hmm.
So going forward, I'm thinking about how to preserve my creativity and my story and maybe do like the collaborations outside of my episodes.
Hmm.
But season 3 is like picking back up where I left off season 1 after the car accident.
And even just talking about navigating doing your first couple of brand deals, because again, I don't hear you mention anyone else involved in this whole process.
Yeah.
Um, are you still doing everything yourself? And how are you navigating? Like at some point, like to elevate to the next level, you need like more expertise, like getting brand deals, like collaborations. How are you sort of like navigating all these new experiences when it's just you two? Like the first brand approaches you, how do you know how much to charge? How do you know to work with them? Like, how are you just navigating just doing all this by yourself again? And are you leaning on anyone for any sort of expertise?
No, at first it's been just me. So I was answering emails and just like agreeing to, like, the brands would be like, "Hey, we want to include you in this, and this is the rate we're offering." Let's say, okay, here's an example. Poshmark reached out to me to do a collaboration, and they were like, "We'll pay you $350." And I was just like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then I think that the universe brings the people into your life that you need. So I happened to be at a friend's birthday dinner, and I was talking to this girl, and I was telling her I'm starting to get brand deals. Poshmark just paid me $350. She was like, "What? You could have charged at least 5,000."
Mhm,
So I was like, "Well, can you help me?" She had experience doing this type of thing,
mhm.
even though it wasn't her main 9 to 5. So she was like, "Yeah, let's start working together." So it's been like a little over a year of me working with her. She
Okay.
just started her own influencer agency. She has 3 other influencers other than me, and she's helped me negotiate a lot of my deals. The
Mhm.
most recent one being $16,000. So
Yes, love
yes,
it.
it's come a
Congrats.
long way. Thank you.
Yeah. But it's baby steps because you just started out putting out the episodes and then now you're getting the brand deals. And it's like some people start beating themselves up when they don't see the brands like rolling in from like day one. And it's like it takes time to sort of build your craft, put your work out there, and just even get better at doing what you're doing before the brands come in and there's just like more distraction. Like work on fine tuning your craft first.
You do, and you have to also work on the quality and the quantity.
Mm,
So when people come to you, they want to see a proof over time of you cranking out your concept and your content. So it's just a matter of staying consistent too.
mhm. And then how do you guard your mindset around just the algorithms and just being we're just subject to social media platforms? So I feel like even when
Yeah.
I just create like a dumb travel video or just like a style video and I'm like, dang, like, the platforms didn't even push it out. Like nobody saw it. It took me a while to film. So I can't even imagine like putting out a whole episode and then maybe it doesn't do as well as it could have just because of the time of the day or the algorithm. So how would you feel like bummed out if you post an episode and it didn't perform as great as you think it should have just because of the algorithm? How do you just navigate your whole mindset around likes and comments and attaching that to the your work?
Well, I think you really have to know yourself, and you have to know that regardless of how many likes or views or comments this gets, this is like a true reflection of who I am,
Mm,
my own creativity. I'm not imitating anyone else. This is my own ideas. And I also tell myself like social media is so unpredictable.
mhm,
You never know which platform is really going to push your content.
mhm,
I randomly had an idea a couple weeks ago to upload all my episodes to Facebook. And then
mhm,
like my episodes went viral on Facebook, and then it's just like on Instagram. I think Instagram doesn't have the attention span for
mhm.
3-minute videos
Yeah.
as just TikTok does.
Mhm,
So my episodes do not perform as well as they do on TikTok,
mhm.
on Instagram. So it's just like me telling myself every platform is going to be different. And it's also keeping the long game in mind. Like
Mine.
I tell myself I'm still putting all my effort into every episode so that when someone comes along and discovers me and they go back and watch all my videos, they're going to see the quality is there regardless of how many likes and views that it gets.
Yeah, because it's like a
So
portfolio for yourself.
exactly. Yeah, I just focus on making the best content that I can and the audience will come.
I love that. And then so what advice would you have for creators who are struggling with like anxiety or just like general nerves of putting their work out there and like worried what people would think or just like I don't know, there's still some nerves about just putting your work out there on social media and just like scared of posting and things like that. So I don't know if you ever struggled with that like or just if you have any general advice for that.
Well, yeah, I struggled big time putting the first episode out, and it actually doesn't really get easier. I'll admit that I still have anxiety about certain episodes. Um, but I just think that um again, if it's like work that you really believe in, you just have to put it out.
Mhm.
I think that we're so conditioned to worrying about what other people think, and we're as humans we want to be accepted and loved, but I just think that if you're staying true to yourself, you just need to believe in the content, believe in whatever it is you're saying, and just put it out and get over your fears. And then
Yeah.
before you know it, you got a whole portfolio of your content and like proof of concept.
I love that. I'm just like, you're sounding so calm. And I'm just like, if I had like, because even working in the fashion industry, there's some toxic jobs I remember that even just like walking through Soho, I get triggered because I'm like, I remember when I used to walk through here and I hated my job and I'll be going back to Canal Street to the train, go back to Harlem. So, how have
Yeah.
you sort of healed from, if you have finished healing, but how have you sort of shed that sort of experience, the negative experience, and just like because it's a journey just to like get over multiple toxic experiences. So where are you now in that sort of healing space?
You're asking such good questions.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed this interview.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I was living in Harlem too, 116th and Lexington,
Mm.
and Spanish Harlem. And I was just so scared. I'm a huge germaphobe, and I was like, I can't take the train. I can't be up under everybody in New York. I need to get away. So I ended up moving to LA, where I currently live, and it was absolutely the best decision for me because now I don't have to walk through Canal Street or Soho and get triggered. I would absolutely be triggered walking through
Mhm.
certain places in New York. So I moved to LA, and it was like the best thing for my anxiety and stress. Um, because LA is like it's so bright and sunny, and
Mhm.
the colors are so vivid, and the ocean is right there. I would be at the beach all the time in 2020. I moved when everything was shut down, so it was
Mhm.
like quiet, very peaceful. I was going on hikes with my friends, um, not worrying about what I'm wearing, just like
Yeah.
some a two-piece spandex, little sports bra and shorts, just like completely unplugged from everything, the whole fashion industry. It's just been a breath of fresh air out here in LA. So that's how I really got over all the stress and anxiety of New York.
Hmm. I love that. Sometimes you just need a change of environment because I went to school in Georgia. So sometimes I go back down there and it's just like a break from New York. I see trees, fresh air. I'm always joking like I'm going to like my country house. It's just like my mom's house in the suburbs. But it just feels like a good break from the city. Like you just need that break and clarity. And sometimes just moving physical locations helps your mental as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize how much trees and air and
Yeah.
nature is healing. So
Hmm.
I didn't realize how much I just needed to be like, I didn't realize I was a nature girl at
Yeah.
all until I moved out here. And also, California is such an interesting place to live because you have a little bit of everything within
Hmm.
driving distance. Like you have Big Bear, which is like the mountains and the lake and
Hmm.
the woods, and then you can go skiing if you drive. It's just, I love LA.
I love it.
I see myself being here for a while.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're liking that move. So I was talking to someone, like maybe early 20s, and she's had like disappointing job experiences. So her first job, like just some microaggressions from her manager. She moved to the second place. She's starting to get the same thing. And she's like probably just a year out of college, about a year and a half. And she's just telling me, like, I just feel really discouraged. Like, I thought this was my dream job. I'm out here in the fashion industry. She's like in fashion and media. And she just feels really discouraged and is sort of taking it as, I won't say as a reflection of her, but just feeling down in the dumps. Like, is this how it's going to be everywhere? Just the microaggressions. And she just feels like she's not, it's the industry is not letting her win. And I'm trying to encourage her and just be like, people have negative experiences everywhere, like managers. Yeah. So I don't know if you have advice for anyone, because I know you definitely walk through those shoes where it's just like you're excited, it's the fashion industry, like, and you're just getting like negative experiences back, and how not to like carry that through your career.
Yeah, that was literally how I felt, literally my experience. And I think that what I wish someone would have told me is you really cannot take it personal.
Mm.
It's almost like you have to go in there expecting them to treat you bad, expecting them to have these microaggressions, and be strong in yourself to know that, okay, they're not treating me like this because of me. They're treating me like this because of their own
Mm.
agenda, their own experiences, their own history. It's not my fault. That's what you have to tell yourself. It's not my fault. I have an end goal in mind. I'm tunnel vision on the goal I want to achieve, whether it's making it to assistant level, learning everything you can so that you can your own business on your own. You just have to really keep the bigger picture in mind and say, I'm not going to give up. They're not going to intimidate me. I'm still going to work hard. I'm going to keep my reputation like as good as I can keep it, and just like do your best, show up, do your best every day. Don't let your attitude get in the way, because that's hard too. But also stand up for yourself. Like they also will respect you if you um, speak up respectfully. So those are the things
That's
I
great
would tell myself.
advice. No, that's great advice. Thank you for that. And even though I know you said you have the Midwestern nice thing, but there's something to say about putting out a web series where you're talking about your previous employers. And it's like, because I can't imagine like in the future in some way you're not going to be at some industry event and you can't say you will never run into Miranda again. So how do you think
Yeah,
you'll deal with that situation? Do you feel like you'll be nervous, or you're just going to be like, whatever?
I've thought about this scenario so many times. Like, what will I do? What will I say? I think I'll keep it classy and say hello. And um, I don't know. It all depends on her reaction too. Like, I actually have ran into her, but it was before the web series. So it was
Okay.
after I quit, after we had the falling out. I ran into her, and I was just like, I'm not gonna say. And she tried to act like she didn't see me. So I like. It's actually going to be in an upcoming episode,
Oh,
season
I can't
3.
wait. By the way, I kind of wish that the dream sequence when you threw all the papers, I wish that was real. And then you're like, oh, never mind. I was like, okay, I get it. She has to be professional, but I wish she did it.
I know a lot of people were disappointed that I didn't
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
but I always keep it classy, and
No,
I
yeah.
do have a side of me that really wants to flip the table, but I don't do that because I want to keep my reputation clean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will have an upcoming episode of what happened when I ran into her
Oh, I can't
at
wait.
my new job.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And also, so back to my original question was like, okay, so you're nice, you're brought up to be nice, nice to people. But I think something I'm trying to learn as I get older too is being okay with being the villain in someone's story. And sometimes you're the bad person, and that's okay. Like, not even saying like I want to be liked by everyone, but I'm just like, oh, I don't want someone to say a story of me being mean or like just whatever. When it's just like sometimes you just don't agree with people, and that's fine. So, do you struggle with that? Are you okay being the villain in someone's story if they're like they have a different perception of you? Are you fine with that, or what are you like?
No, it really eats me up inside when I feel like I've done something wrong to offend someone or make
Mm,
someone upset. I think especially when I first moved to New York and I was just this sweet little innocent, naive girl. But I think living in New York really toughened me up. I
mm,
highly recommend it for any creative in their 20s or 30s, whatever. But I think that what changed everything for me was just like being disappointed in myself. Like, let's say a confrontation happened and I went home and I would just be so disappointed in how I didn't stand up for myself.
mm,
And that happened to me enough times to where it really ate me up inside, to where I'm like, no, next time I'm standing up for myself,
mm.
and I'm gonna keep it classy, but I'm still gonna put people in their place. And I think that changed everything. And it really made me stronger. But I will say, it's uncomfortable being the villain in someone else's story, but sometimes you have to. Not everyone is going to like you. It's okay if people don't like you. Um, at the end of the day, you should be your number one priority, not catering to someone else's feelings.
I love that. Great advice that I'm definitely gonna listen to myself too.
Yes.
So what's next for you? Are you still interested in pursuing a styling career? Are we trying to act? Are we trying to produce? Like, where's Candace trying to go?
Well, I still get offers all the time to style things, but I still will do that. But I really see myself, I think that my life has all been building towards like doing something so huge with visuals. Like, I think that I was a stylist, so I can know what I want my characters to wear in
Mhm,
my big screen show. I even studied design too, so I do have plans to like start a collection someday. But I have so many different interests. I don't think that as humans in our life, we should be stuck to one thing, because I could also sing. Like, who you know that can design the clothes,
L-
act in front of the camera, sing the
One
soundtrack,
woman show.
write the script, film the script. Exactly. So I see myself doing huge things.
Okay.
And I think it's just a matter of time, and it's a matter of me meeting the right people. Um, and also getting the right mentor. I still don't
Mhm,
have a mentor. I'm figuring everything out as I go.
mhm.
Um, but I think that being in LA is really the right place for me, because I'm meeting a lot of people. I was just with Tracy Ellis Ross last month, and I'm
Yes, I love
wow, my
it.
life is really just like taking off.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just gonna keep putting out the episodes. Right now I have 5 seasons planned out, but who knows how many there will end up being.
Okay. And I know you mentioned your 9 to 5, like in past tense. So are you focusing on your creative pursuits full time? Like, what made you realize it was time to focus on this full time?
It's just I have never been someone who enjoys working for anyone, or especially not in an office setting. So I worked for that streaming company
Mhm,
for 2 years, and it was just something I felt in my gut that it was just time to move on.
mhm.
And they loved me. They even gave me a promotion and a
Oh, love it.
raise
Yes.
right before I was planning on quitting. So I got a few of those paychecks and they were so nice. And I was like, wow, do I really want to quit? But I think that ultimately I'm meant to do my own thing. So yeah, I
I love
left
that.
there in May, and I have had the most fun summer. Really had fun this summer. And now it's time to get back into season 3 and really crank out these episodes. Also, next, I'm speaking on a panel for Every Stylish Girl in a couple weeks. So I'm excited for that.
Yes, if
Um,
you're in LA, go attend that. I think you can go on every stylish girl's Instagram and see the
exactly.
event
Get your
details. Yeah.
tickets October 14th in LA. I'll be on the panel. Um, and what else do I have coming up? I've actually been interviewing to be on a few reality shows too. So
Yes.
we'll see if I end up doing like the Cardi B route where
I
somebody puts me on a reality show and it fast
really
tracks my
literally, and that's yeah, you just need the platform, the huge platform, and then do whatever you want from there.
exactly. And I'm really good at manifesting. I've manifested a lot of things.
Oh my
So
god. What are your
yeah.
tips for manifestation?
So you have to make a vision board. You have to look at
Okay.
it daily. You have to believe it will happen in your gut. You have to say your affirmations daily. Also, gratitude. Like
Mhm.
every night when I'm in the shower, I say a list of everything that I'm grateful for from that day. Every morning, before I even get out of bed, I just say everything that I'm grateful for. This morning, it was I'm grateful to have an interview on this Steady Bakery podcast. Um, and so gratitude helps raise your vibration so that you can be available for all the blessings you're trying to manifest in your life.
I
And
love
you
that.
also have to put the work in
Mhm.
because you can hope and wish and pray all you want, but if you're not taking baby steps daily towards what you're praying for, it's not just going to fall in your lap. So,
Yes, and we love baby
yeah,
steps over here.
exactly.
I love that. Great tips. So we're slowly wrapping up on this wonderful interview, but I wanted to ask how you feel about aging and getting older. This is a new question I like to ask now, just because you get different, for the most part, I hear pretty, I don't know if you're in your 30s yet, but I hear pretty great things about the 30s. So I feel like when I was much younger, I was like 30 so old, but now I'll be 30 next year. I'm looking forward to it. So how do you feel just in general, just like getting older?
Well, that's something that I think we struggle with as a society
Mhm.
since the beginning of time. I think that women have so much pressure on them to look young at every like when this is what really bothers me. When it's someone's birthday, let's take Angela Bassett for
Mhm.
example. Every birthday it's like she don't look a day over
Yeah.
blank, like 25 and it's like
Yeah.
we really put so much pressure on women to stay looking young
Mhm.
even in their 60s or whatever. I think that aging is a beautiful blessing where we should feel blessed to get older. I think that the older we get, the wiser we are. And I don't know, it's just like so much pressure. So, how I feel about aging is that I do feel like I'm racing against the clock. Like, I feel like if I want to turn this web series into an actual scripted television series and I want to play the lead as
Mhm.
the intern who's making all these mistakes, I need to have it happen soon while I'm
Mhm.
still, looking like I'm in my 20s.
Mhm.
So it is something that I do struggle with.
Mhm. Well, your bone structure looks great. I feel like you won't have any worries, and you guys will see when I release the visuals for this episode. But I love any girl that can pull off like a pixie cut. I'm just like,
Thank
you just
you, girl.
like literally the bone
Thank
structure is in place.
thank you. I'm trying to give 90s actress
I love it.
vibes.
No, I see it. I see it.
Thank you.
So finally, our last question on the episode is this. I ask everyone that comes on the show. The name of this podcast is Steady Making It. So, making your moves and working to reach your goals, baby steps at a time. So what's just one piece of advice you have for anyone who's just trying to make it?
I would say network. That's my biggest piece of advice. Networking, making friendships. I was going to say connections, but that sounds like you're using people.
Hmm.
I would say just like getting to know people in different industries because you never know where your next opportunity can come from. You never know. Like Issa Rae said that network across
Hmm.
instead of networking up because you never know which friend can help you film, which friend can help you edit. Like I said, I was at that birthday dinner and I just so happened to meet my influencer manager just by talking to her. Um, so my number one little tidbit of advice for anyone trying to make it is to just network, go to events, go outside, meet new people, leave comments under people's posts on Instagram, post people's posts on your story, support your friends, um, and just be a good person. Put a little good karma out there because it all comes back to you.